everybody. My name is Darlene and I have Parkinson's. I'm sitting quite still right now because I'm waiting to take meds shortly. So I thought that I would start the video and just talk a little bit here and tell you what I'm going to be doing. This is Try It Thursday, and we're going to do something a little bit different. I need to give credit to the person that I saw this originally done by. His name is B. Dylan Hollis, and it's called Peanut Butter Bread. And he compared 3 different types of peanut butter bread. And I'm going to do the same thing and see what the difference is. So the first loaf we're going to try is a Depression era recipe. It's from 1932. And because of limited groceries and whatnot, it of course has the fewest ingredients. And it is more bread-like than it is anything else. It's very much like a bread. The second one is a mid-century recipe from 1945, mid-century 1900s, and it's also bread-like, but it's got a few extra things in it because they were able to get a few of the things. Then the third recipe is a current day from 2022, and it's very cake-like. It's like what we consider banana bread. You know, it's more cake and moisture and whatnot. And it's got quite a few ingredients and whatnot. So it'll be very interesting to see what the difference is between them all. The last one we're going to add a few chocolate chips into, and the other ones we're going to do just exactly as, well, the third one has chocolate chips in it. I'm not adding anything extra. I'm doing it exactly as the recipe calls, but it does call for that. So I'm going to do that. And when I come back, I'll be showing you what ingredients are in. Oh, actually, I should maybe just run through the ingredients quickly because it will be easier than if I do it on camera. So in the first one, the Depression era, 1932, you've got flour, baking powder, and sugar. You whisk it together. We're adding salt and milk and peanut butter. And then we'll mix that together and we'll put it into a pan. The mid-century is, again, flour, baking powder, sugar, and salt. And then we're adding a different amount of peanut butter. And it's a different mixture. It's a sticky mixture, and we're using our fingers to do it. We're then adding cold milk and cooking it. So it's a different method that one does. The third one has the flour, salt, and baking powder. Again, all different amounts. Peanut butter. And then you're going to have an egg and sugar and applesauce, milk, baking soda, and chocolate chips. So that's got a longer list of ingredients. So I'll give you the amounts and whatnot at the end. Or I will put all the amounts in the description. That's what I'll do. I'll put all the amounts in the description. Okay, talk to you later. Okay, we're back. The first loaf that we're going to do is the loaf that was from the Depression era. The recipe is from 1932. The Depression went from, I wrote this down here, August of 1929 to March of 1933. So during the Great Depression, there wasn't a lot of ingredients. So in this bowl, we have reflection of that. We have 2 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 cup of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And now we're going to add 1 1/3 cups of milk. So first thing we're going to do is just kind of get the peanut butter mixed in. I'm not sure whether they had electric beaters or not. That's my ignorance. I don't know when electricity came about. Isn't that something? How can I be my age and not know that? Anywho, I don't think they did, so that's the reason I'm not using one. So I could have looked that up, and I didn't. I just thought I knew, and I didn't. So, okay, now I'm going to add in the milk. This is 1 1/3 cups of milk. It is also perfectly fine to use powdered milk if you don't have regular milk, but I had regular milk, so hence I used it. Now you see, we didn't have a lot of ingredients in this. The sugar was hard to come by. all things were hard to come by. There was families couldn't feed their children. So this was something that would be, if you had the ingredients, you could make this. All right. Now I'm just going to put this in the loaf pan, and I'm going to put it in the oven. It bakes at 325 for 1 hour, and 1 hour and 10 minutes it says, and then we cool it. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and then I'll come back and mix up the second one, and we'll see how it differs. Okay, we're back. The first one has just come out of the oven, and I've just set it up on top of the cooling rack. So we're just going to let that cool, and we're going to get started on the second one. Now this recipe is from 1945. It has a few more ingredients, but this was during the time of the World War. The World War went from September 1939 to September 1945. So when we got a recipe from 45, it was just at the end of the Second World War. And so therefore they had a few more ingredients, but there was still rationing going on. So in the bowl here, it's a different method is what this is. You've got 2 cups of flour, you've got 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Now you've got a half a cup of sugar instead of a quarter of a cup of sugar. You've got a full teaspoon of salt. The other one was a half a teaspoon of salt. And this one now we're getting a little extra peanut butter because we've got 2/3 of a cup of peanut butter. But what we're going to do is we're going to put the peanut butter into the dry mixture. And we're going to get our hands dirty. Because we want to mix it with our fingers until this becomes like wet sand. This is for all those people that like to play with their food. Okay. So we're just going to, just like you were cutting in biscuit dough. So we just want to make this go to be like wet sand. It's still going to have a bread-like texture, not like we have banana bread. This is still going to be very much like a bread or a biscuit. It's, you know, a short crust type thing. Now we're going to add a cup of milk. Now the other one had 1 1/3 cups of milk. This one has extra peanut butter, so it's only having 1 cup of milk. And we're going to, the difference here now, we're going to put it in the pan. We are now going to cook this at a very high temperature because we're going to go at 420 for a half an hour or 35 minutes. It'll be a half an hour for us because this is a long loaf pan. So it'll be not as tall. They say they hold the same amount, but because they're narrower than a regular loaf pan, but I find that they're a little bit shallower. All right, now let's just put this in here. I'll put this in the oven at 420 for a half an hour, and we'll be back. Okay, I'm moving slower now. My pills are not working right now, so I'm working a little bit slower. So this is the third one. I'll just sort of run through what we're going to do because it's completely different again. In the bowl we have, this bowl here, we have 2 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking powder, and I'm going to mix that together. I added a cup of peanut butter into it as well. In a separate bowl, I'm beating an egg and 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and then I'm going to stir in a cup of applesauce and a half a cup of milk. Then I'm going to work quickly. At that point, I'm going to put half a teaspoon of baking soda in, put the wet into the dry, and quickly into the pan, and then it's going to cook in the oven. Oh, and add some chocolate chips to it. That's if you desire it, we do. We cook it at 350 for 1 hour or 1 hour and 10 minutes. But we first of all have to beat this egg and sugar together. So let's just get that going. It becomes nice and thick, this does. I've got to put in the applesauce, so let's just, this is where it gets a little bit harder because when I'm not moving very good, I can't do it, but I just wanted to get this all done I'm doing this very early in the morning, so I'm trying to get it done before it is too hot in the day. All right, so that's my applesauce. Let's try that again now. Okay. Then we need to put the milk in. Okay, now, before I add the baking soda, because then I have to work quickly, which I don't work very quickly, I'm going to get this mixed up. So while I mix this, I'm going to pause you, because you'll see me make a big mess when I'm not moving very good. So I'm going to mix this up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so now we're having to work fairly quickly. We're going to add this baking soda to this. Quickly is not really part of my vocabulary when my meds aren't working, but we're going to do our best. Okay, now we're going to just add this to this other bowl. Okay, get this together. I'm glad that this one has a mixer because I wouldn't have been able to stir it. That's part of the reality of working when you have Parkinson's. You just have to adapt what you're doing. You can't give up. You have to just keep trying. And if it's at a time when you can't do it, you just wait until you can. Okay, and now I'm going to stir in the chocolate chips and pop it in the oven. It's going to go in at 350 for 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I'm going to do that off camera because I'm going to make a big mess, I'm sure. And I will put that in the oven, and then we're going to be back to compare them all and taste them. Okay, let's just have a little recap. This is the 3 kinds of bread. The one on this side here, that's the Depression era. The one in the middle is the war years. And the one on the end here with the chocolate, that's the present day one. Just from looking at them, I can tell you the one from the Depression is very bread-like, and it will be fine, especially if you were to toast it lightly. It would be fine as like a morning bread. The one from the war years that had slightly more stuff, it's very crumbly. It also appears to be almost burnt in the time frame that they said. So although the outside appears very dark, the inside is just barely done. So I'm not sure. I don't think this recipe is quite right. But it also sort of looks like it would be hard to hold it together. This one looks delectable. I knew it would. This is like a banana bread, except there's no bananas. So the chocolate chips and the applesauce are in the peanut butter bread. So we're just going to give it a little taste. We're not going to butter it or anything because we just want to taste. I'm going to taste this one first because this one's the one that I think is very dry and crumbly. So I'm going to try this one first. You can take it however much you want. No, it's very dry. I don't like that one. No, I don't like that one. You can taste the peanut butter though. Mm-hmm. Now this one probably will also seem a bit dry, but I could imagine this spread with a nice jam on it. So let's just take a little piece of this one. Yeah.
No.
If you put a little bit of jam or butter on this one wouldn't be bad. So that's this one here. I don't care for this one in the middle. Could salvage it with putting it in something with ice cream or something, but this one I think is good. I also am not good with dry stuff. I tend to choke, so this probably was not wise for me not to do this with water, but okay. This one is still warm, so just close up a little bit. Make sure you get some chocolate in there. Oh,
Bucket full.
I don't know.
Warm, it's hot.
I don't know how to edit. If he has bad language, I'm sorry. That's nice though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But
Moist.
it's very moist. It's very warm still because I cut it quite warm. But I think this one is a success. This one's not bad. Don't care for the middle one. So try it Thursday. Mixed reviews. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you all tomorrow.